Hi guys, and welcome to a book haul. I went to one bookstore while I was in Colorado. I just got home today. Today is the 5th. Yeah, today is Friday, May 5th. So, I wanted to get this haul filmed so that I could get these books put away. So, these will not be included at my end of month wrap up because I'm doing this now. So, otherwise, the end of month wrap-up will be too long. So, the independent bookstore that I went to in Durango, Colorado is called Mira's Bookshop. And they gave me this tote for free. So, I'm real happy about that. Free tote? Absolutely. Now, there's one thing that I bought that is not a book, and that is a puzzle. It's called Bookish Cats. It's a 500-piece puzzle. We have The Great Gatsby, Charlie and the Catnip Factory, Romeo and Juliet, right? Oh, Romeo and Juliet, the Clodacy, the Catventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, and it says by Arthur Conan Doyle. So The Great Gatsby is F. Scott Fitzgerald. Charlie and the Catnip Factory, Rolled Paw, Romeo and Juliet, William Shakespeare. Okay, the Clodacy by Hoang. Alright, now we're back up. Alice's Adventures in Whisker Land by Lewis Carroll. I can't read. Oh, here we go. Okay. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It's got a sticker on it, so I couldn't read that. I had to look on the back. Anna Karenina, like Karenina, by Leo Tolstoy. And this is all one. These are not individual. This is what the puzzle will look like with all of these on here. And Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. So, I thought that was cute. Bookish Cats, I could not pass that up. So, yeah, I had to get that. So, that's my one non-bookish item other than the actual bag. But I got that for free. So, let me go ahead and I'll go through these and show you what I got at Mira's Bookshop. There is a website for this bookstore. They're an independent bookstore based out of Durango, Colorado. I'll list the website, so if you're curious, you're more than welcome, obviously, to go and peruse it. I don't know about shipping or anything like that. So, let's go ahead and get into the books. I have The Cactus by Sarah Haywood. This is a Reese Book Club book pick. And let's see, it says, for Susan Green, messy emotions don't fit into the equation of her perfectly ordered life. She has a flat that is ideal for one, a job that suits her passion for logic, and an interpersonal arrangement that provides cultural and other more intimate benefits. But suddenly confronted with the loss of her mother and the news that she is about to become a mother herself, Susan's greatest fear is realized. She is losing control. Enter Rob, the dubious but well-meaning friend of her indolent brother. As Susan's due date draws near and her dismantled world falls further into a tailspin, Susan finds an unlikely ally in Rob. She might have a chance at finding real love and learning to love herself, if only she can figure out how to let go. Now, what got me to buy this, I was drawn in by the cover, but there is a quote from Red Magazine right on the cover. It says, fans of Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, will love The Cactus. And I really did enjoy Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. So that was what was like, yes. Now I did get one nonfiction. And so the nonfiction is called The 90s, a book. This is by Chuck Klosterman. I've seen this before and I was intrigued. I used to always want a phone like this. So I was born in 1983. So I was a child going into the 90s and I was a teenager leaving the 90s. So I couldn't pass this up because the 90s were such a big deal in my life. And I just want to see it dissected a little bit. So It says, it was long ago, but not as long as it seems. The Berlin Wall fell and the Twin Towers collapsed. In between, one presidential election was allegedly decided by Ross Perot, while another was plausibly decided by Ralph Nader. Landlines fell to cell phones. I remember that. The internet exploded. I remember that. And pulp culture accelerated without the aid of technology that remembered everything. It was the last era with a real mainstream to either identify with or oppose. The 90s brought about a revolution in the human condition and a shift in consciousness that we're still struggling to understand. Happily, Chuck Klosterman is more than up to the job. In the 90s, Klosterman dissects the film, the music, the sports, the TV, the pre-9/11 politics, the changes regarding race and class and sexuality, the yin-yang of Oprah and Alan Greenspan, and almost everything else. The result is a multidimensional masterpiece, a work of synthesis so smart and delightful that future historians might well refer to this entire period as Cloistermanian. So, yeah, like when it talks about music, I'm wondering if it's going to talk about NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys. So, I was team NSYNC. Yeah. So, anyway, got that one. This next one, I actually have an ebook version of this, but I love this author's writing under this pen name. And that's Mira Grant. And I actually have, let me get, because I have two by Mira Grant. Where's the second one? And then we'll just delve into that. And it's buried. I'll get to it later. So this first one I have by Mira Grant is Into the Drowning Deep. This is, I believe this can be read as a standalone, but there is a novella that you can read before this. I read that novella and loved it. This one says, 7 years ago, the Adagratis set off on a voyage to the Marina Trench to film a mockumentary bringing to life ancient sea creatures of legend. It's about mermaids, okay? It was lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax, others have called it a tragedy. And the novella before this one takes place when it gets lost at sea. You find out what happened leading up to that. So, back to this, it says, now a new crew has been assembled. Some seek to validate their life's work. Some seek the greatest hunt of all. Some seek the truth. But for the ambitious young scientist, Victoria Stewart, this is a voyage to uncover the fate of the sister she lost. So, yes, I have read the Newsflesh series by Mira Grant. Loved it. So, under Mira Grant, I like the writing. So, yes, Into the Drowning Deep. Okay. Next up, this is Moorewood Family Rules by Helenkay Dimon. This one says, one day a con man, let me try that again. One day a con man met an heiress, wooed her, married her, had 2 kids, and kept on conning. Jillian Moorewood is the older child from that meet cute gone wrong, the stable one. The sensible and dependable one, the one who protects and fixes, the one who went to prison to save their sorry butts. Now, 39 months later, she's out and she's more than a little pissed. Finally home, she finds the scheming clan in full fleecing mode. They all claim they didn't really agree to Jillian's previous go legit or else ultimatum before she went away. They viewed it as a suggestion, then ignored it. So, business as usual. But Jillian is done with the lies and fakery. She demands the whole messed up crew clean up their act, and this time she's not kidding. She has the leverage to make it happen. Problem is, her life is in shambles. But with the help of a great aunt, crooked but lovable, a bodyguard, who is a nice surprise after 3 years in prison, and a few allies, all working undercover, Jillian starts to put her life back together. She kicks out a few mooching relatives living under her roof, sets limits on everyone's access to the money, ducks from their various attacks, and sees if that bodyguard is maybe interested in sticking around for a while. For the first time, she's Jillian Moorewood, her own woman, and she's ready to figure out who she is. That sounds good. This sounds like it's going to be pretty comedic. So, yeah, that sounds good. Okay. The next one, this is a thick one. I have 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. And all that I know, let me see, is there a synopsis in here? Let's see. Nope, these are all by How Great the Book Is by different publishing places. 1Q84. Other books by the author. And then it just goes into it. Okay. So just from what it says here, it says a love story, a mystery, a fantasy, a novel of self-discovery, a dystopia to rival George Orwell's IQ 84 is a tremendous feat of imagination from one of our most revered contemporary writers. So I don't know what it's about. I've heard some people talk about it who have read it, and it sounded really good. But I don't really know what it's about. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So, yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up, I have The Love Hypothesis by Elle Hazelwood. Now with a bonus chapter. And I've heard this can get pretty steamy, so bear that in mind. As a third-year PhD candidate, Olive Smith doesn't believe in lasting romantic relationships, but her best friend does, and that's what got her into the situation. Convincing Anne that Olive is dating and well on her way to a happily ever after was always going to take more than a hand-wavy Jedi mind tricks. Scientists require proof. So, like any self-respecting biologist, Olive panics and kisses the first man she sees. That man is none other than Adam Carlson, a young hotshot professor and well-known ass, which is why Olive is positively floored when Stanford's reigning lab tyrant agrees to keep her charade a secret and be her fake boyfriend. And when a big science conference goes haywire, putting Olive's career on the Bunsen burner, Adam surprises her again with his unyielding support and even more unyielding six-pack abs. Suddenly, their little experiment feels dangerously close to combustion, and Olive discovers that the only thing more complicated than a hypothesis on love is putting her own heart under the microscope. I have heard a lot of people rave about this series, and it's just made me want to pick it up even more because it sounds really good. Okay. Next up, I have The Girl from Rawblood by Catriona Ward. This was in the horror section. And this one says, at the turn of England's century, young Iris Villarca walks the lonely halls of Rawblood. They are haunted by her. A curse passed down in ancient blood that marks each Villarca, I don't know, anyway, for certain heartbreak, even death. And Iris is the last of her family's line. Iris forsakes her promise to her father to remain alone. Swaddled in Rawblood's walls with its unspoken secrets, she dares to fall in love, and the consequences of her choice are immediate and terrifying. As her world shatters into a kaleidoscope of memory, vengeance, and terror, she must take a final journey back to Rawblood, where it all began, and where it must all end. From the sun-dappled hills of Italy to the biting chill of Victorian dissection halls. This is a lyrical and haunting Gothic novel of darkness, enduring love, and the ghosts of the past. So, there you go. Okay, next up I have, this was also in the horror section, and I actually was drawn to the third book until I realized it was the third book in a series. So, of course, I put book number 3 back and had to get book number 1. So, it is Welcome to Night Vale by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Cranor? Based on the #1 international hit podcast. I don't listen to podcasts, so that doesn't do anything for me. Okay, the synopsis says, welcome to Night Vale, a friendly desert community somewhere in the American Southwest. In this ordinary little town where ghosts, angels, aliens, and government conspiracies are commonplace parts of everyday life, the lives of 2 women, with 2 mysteries, are about to converge. Pawn shop proprietor Jackie Fierro abides by routine, but a crack appears in the standard order of her perpetually 19-year-old life when a mysterious man in a tan jacket gives her a slip of paper marked by 2 pencil-smudged words, King City. Everything about the man unsettles her, especially the paper that she cannot remove from her hand. Yet when Jackie puts her life on hold to search for the man, no one who meets him can seem to remember anything about him. Diane Creighton's 15-year-old son Josh is moody and a shapeshifter. Lately, Diane has started to see the boy's father everywhere she goes, looking the same as he did the day he left when they were teenagers. Josh is growing ever more curious about his estranged father, leading to a disaster Diane can see coming but is helpless to prevent. Diane's search to reconnect with her son and Jackie's search to reclaim her routine life draw them increasingly closer to each other, and to this place that may hold the key to their mysteries and their futures, if they can ever find it. So, it does sound pretty good. Sounds pretty intriguing. Okay. The next one is the other book by Mira Grant that I got is called Parasite. So this one, is there not a synopsis on the back? There is not a synopsis on the back. This is a series. Book number 2 is called Symboyant, it looks like. Okay. I made my way slowly toward the window, wishing I had a weapon, or any idea how to use one. I would have felt better. There was probably lots of things that could be used as improvised weapons in the kitchen and living room, but I didn't know what would work, and so I didn't reach for anything. I wasn't a fighter. I did, however, have a pane of glass between me and whatever was in the side yard. I held that thought firmly at the front of my mind as I inched around the couch and peered out the window. 3 of my neighbors were standing in the side yard, their hands down at their sides, staring at the fence. I recognized them all, even if I only knew one, Mr. Carson from next door, by name. None of them were moving. One of them, a woman, was wearing a bathrobe a little newer than mine. Her socks were soaked and grass-stained. The other woman was wearing one shoe, and her hair looked like it was halfway combed. I bit my lip. They were just standing there. Then Mr. Carson turned and looked at me. I let out a little scream and stumbled backward, falling over the couch in my retreat. His eyes were like Chave's had been, totally empty of anything resembling humanity or life. Dead eyes. He looked at me like a man who had crawled out of his own grave. So, zombie is what that sounds like. So, Parasite. The person that checked me out at Maria's Bookshop said she loved that book. So, okay. Moving the bag off to the side now. Last couple of books. Okay. This next one was from the YA section, and this one says We Can't Keep Meeting Like This by Rachel Lynn Solomon. So that's the cover. It says Quinn Berkowitz's and Tarek Mansauer's families have been in business together for years. Quinn's present parents are wedding planners, and Tarek's own a catering company. At the end of last summer, Quinn confessed her crush on him in the form of a rambling email, and then he left for college without a response. Quinn has been dreading seeing him again, almost as much as she dreads another summer playing the harp for her parents' weddings. When he shows up at the first wedding of the summer, looking cuter than ever after a year apart, they clash immediately. Tarek's always been a fan of grand gestures, the flashier the better, while Quinn can't see them as anything but fake. As her parents push her to take on more responsibilities, she's thrown together with Tarek more often than she'd like, from performing a daring cake rescue to filling in for a missing bridesmaid and groomsman. Quinn can't deny her feelings for him are still there, especially after she learns the truth about his silence, opens up about her own fears, and begins learning the art of heart-making from an enigmatic teacher. Maybe love isn't the enemy after all, and maybe allowing herself to fall is the most honest thing Quinn's ever done. So, sounds pretty good. This next one, I could have sworn I had a copy of, but I don't have a copy of it. So I ended up getting that, and that is the Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I know this is the start of a series, and that this has autism rep. It says, Stella Lane comes up with algorithms to predict customer purchases, a job that has given her more money than she knows what to do with, and way less experience in the dating department than the average 30-year-old. It doesn't help that Stella has Asperger's, or that French kissing reminds her of a shark getting its teeth cleaned by pilot fish. Her conclusion, she needs a lot of practice with a professional, which is why she hires escort Michael Phan. With the looks of a K-drama star and the martial arts moves to match, the Vietnamese-Swedish stunner can't afford to turn down Stella's offer. And when she comes up with a lesson plan, he proves willing to help her check off all the boxes, from foreplay to more than missionary position. Before long, Stella not only learns to appreciate his kisses, but to crave all of the other things he's making her feel. Their no-nonsense partnership starts making a strange kind of sense, and the pattern that emerges will convince Stella that love is the best kind of logic. So, I could have sworn I had a copy of that, but evidently I don't. Okay, last two books. This one is called Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey. And I think this one was a local author to Durango or Cortez or somewhere around there. I could be wrong on that. Let me actually look at the about author. Burrito lover, banter enthusiast, young adult writer who strives to create stories. She lacked as a teenager. Oh, no, that's not a local author. She lives shortly from the capital of Pennsylvania. So, this is her debut novel. So this one's a debut. So, okay. Book lovers can be haters too. Madeline Moore feels most like herself at Books and More, the musty bookstore her family has owned for generations. Nothing is going to stop her from coming back after college to take over the store from her beloved aunt. It's her destiny. Well, it was. That is, until a prologue opens across the street from B&M, a chain bookstore, on their block. Madeline will not take that lying down. But despite Madeline's best attempts at sabotage, Jasper, the guy who works there, seems intent on ruining her life. Not only is he taking her customers, he also has the unbelievable audacity to be extremely cute. But that doesn't matter. Jasper is the enemy and he will be destroyed. After all, all's fair in love and book war. So that actually sounds really cute. Okay. The last one, I have heard a lot of people talk about this series, and so I finally got it. I got the first book. I believe this is a cozy mystery. And that is Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. Elle or Elle Cosimano. Let's see. Finlay Donovan is killing it, except she's really not. As a stressed out single mom of two and a struggling novelist, Finlay finds herself in chaos. When Finlay is overheard discussing the plot of her new suspense novel with her agent over lunch, she's mistaken for a contract killer and inadvertently accepts an offer to dispose of a problem husband. Finlay soon discovers that crime in real life is a lot more difficult than its fictional counterpart, as she becomes tangled in a murder investigation. I've heard this is very funny, and people are absolutely loving this series, and it sounds like this will be something right up my alley, so had to get it. So that's it. Those are all the books that I got from Maria's Bookshop in Durango, Colorado. Again, I will list Maria's Bookshop's website in the description box, so you can definitely check it out if you so would like to. So, have you read any of these books? Have you read from any of these authors? Let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.